Patrick, there's still something that we haven't covered in our conversations, apparently.
Yeah, hi Miki again. And it was lovely to be following on from Andy, because actually Andy asked a question that has made me change mine because of the quality of your answer, Miki. And so what I heard was stay away from the abstract. I heard that convergence happens when there's a specific problem. And so I'm going to throw a couple at you because they're in my head at the moment, and I think probably in quite a lot of people's heads. There's a deep level of distrust between people who think they're on different sides of the political debate around things like, you know, in the States, we can see it, you know, Republican, Democrat, and in many, many countries around sort of, I suppose it would be institutional responses to COVID versus almost conspiracy theories or rejection of institutional. So my question is, these really current and hairy, difficult questions, how could you creatively use convergent facilitation to get into those and have a hope of bringing in the outliers?
So there is first of all, I want to say there is a project hatching that didn't get to enough of to be able to talk about it in full here, but I can tell you there's a project hatching about trying to create processes that would include convergent facilitation related to COVID in the United States. I'm not going to say more because, like I said, we haven't come to enough of this. But what I can say is that my latest blog post, which is the last in my coronavirus series, outlines what I wanted to propose to Joe Biden to do. And I couldn't get through because I don't have connections. But fundamentally, the thing that I would want him to do is to bring together people from across the entire range, multi-stakeholders, you know, anywhere from vaccine producers and people who wrote books against vaccines, from you know, public health officials to people who think that you know, masks and vaccines are the beginning of mass genocide, and bring all of them together in a good process. So convergent facilitation is as good as the convening is. If the convening is poorly defined, if the people in the room are not the right people, convergent facilitation will go nowhere. But I continue to believe that if you bring the right people in and give them a real problem, they will solve it. And then they either have the real authority to implement, which is the best, is bringing the people who, once they leave the room, could actually do something about it. Or if not, if their convening is good enough, they carry moral authority. And moral authority is how the legislation in Minnesota happened around child custody. It was not an official body. No one summoned it. It wasn't sponsored by any government or anything. It was a bunch of people. There were only 4 legislators in the group. The rest were, you know, lawyers, lobbyists, community activists, a variety of people from across the debate about child custody. And because they were able to find a bill, a proposed legislative changes that all of them agreed were better than what they had, the legislature went for it. It was essentially unanimous, where before it was bickering for years. So that is key, is how you convene. And so I would love to have an opportunity to convene that kind of multi-stakeholder panel alongside a random sampling of the population, and have those work together to create a solution that would be so compelling that everybody could find themselves in it.